You can't bring out a tonality to your voice, give a different tone to your voice. That comes by your birth, I believe, by the usage of your own words. That's something, a unique factor in its own way. Yes, sir. We'll just go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, good evening, one and all. Welcome to another interesting, interactive, inquisitive interview session of the interview, promoted by Fertile Brains and hosted by Lakshman Rao. Today, we have poet laureate Dr. Perugu Ramakrishna, sir, from Nellore, Andhra Pradesh, as a guest of our show, the interview. Yeah, here we welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, good evening, sir. On this note, thanks for being on the show, and it's an honor and to know you as a person and a poet, the insightful journey of you as a poet. Would be celebrating 50 years of poetic journey by 27th of this month. 5 decades of poetic journey, it's not a small thing. And to be a part of this journey, it's I feel honored to have an interview session with you, sir. So on this silver jubilee occasion, let's greet him, and graciously welcome him onto our show, the interview. So do you have anything to say, sir?
A nice evening. We are meeting. My good evening to the Fertile Brain group members, viewers, and all the eminent poets in the group. And first and foremost, I want to congratulate the founder and the main chief admin, Mr. Prasanna Kumar. The name itself, he has kept very finely, a very elite and really true poetic name he has given to the group, and he is running it for the last 5 years, it seems. I congratulate and my greetings on the eve of the 5th anniversary of the Fertile Brains.
Cool.
And I'm happy, though I lately joined in the fraternity. Today I'm meeting all the people through the show, hosted by my intimate friend and young poet, who I proudly say I launched him on several dioceses. Today, he is launching me.
This is my return gift to you, sir.
Yeah, really.
So going ahead with the show, sir, I'll come up with a short bio of yours, and we'll enter into the session. So here we go with the short
Kumar, and thank you, Lakshman Rao, in advance.
Cool, sir. Thank you. So here I go ahead with the short bio of Dr. Perugu Ramakrishna. Poet laureate Dr. Perugu Ramakrishna, sir, resides in the University of Andhra Pradesh in India. He graduated in English literature and worked as a tax officer in government of Andhra Pradesh. He is also a worldly reputed bilingual poet who writes in Telugu and English. He has published 28 books and written many research papers and attended many world international seminars, conferences, and symposiums, which includes Sahitya Academy, South Asian Poetry Festival, and World Congress of Poets in different countries as well. He is a renowned poet, translator, editor, and reviewer, and currently is the chief editor of the Srijana Kranti e-journal. His poetry has been published in many reputed journals globally. He is the recipient of several prestigious awards, medals, honors, and global recognition. So here we welcome Perugu Ramakrishna sir onto the show once again. So here, Perugu Ramakrishna sir, in these 5 decades of the journey, there's one line which outstands him. He says like, poetry is the weapon in the strife of my life. He says like, Kavitvame Avidam. That's a great line. So as to get started with it. So what do you want to say, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Rao, and my pranams to Ma Saraswati, and my pranams to my parents, beloved parents, who has given me this beautiful life. I'm so happy at the moment of celebrating my Golden Jubilee of Poetic Journey. I'm happy to associate today's conversation in the banner of the fertile brains. I thank one and all for the journey. Started from a small, a very tiny village in Nellore district, as well combined Nellore district. Though I born in Nellore, after my father's demise, we went to a small village called Jayampur. That's what people nowadays, after of seeing my journey, they used to tell, you are the man from Jayampur to Germany you visited and raised it to the global heights. So that is always the soil of the very pious village where my tender age blossomed.
So that's nice to know, sir. So going ahead, sir, sir, at the utmost, like, how did poetry come into its existence?
Yeah, this is a big history, as we all know, Mr. Rao. Poetry existence and all is it's a long history. When human appearance is there, then the form of creativity started. That's why I can say poetry likely began as one of the earliest forms of human expression, long before written language existed. We all know that it was started in the oral tradition in beginning, later turned up into connection to ritual and religions in our grandeur celebrations. Then it has come into the writing and literary aspect, writing and creative aspects. So initially we have the epic poetry. We all know Mahabharata and Odyssey, these type of poetries in the world. Later we have lyric poetry in the ancient Greece, Chinese, Persian, and Arabic traditions. After
even
that,
even our Vedic Vedas.
All these. Before Mahabharata and all, we have Vedas and this oral poetry.
All scriptures were written in poetic.
Yeah. So finally, what I mean is to say is poetry developed independently across civilizations and shaped by their language, culture, and worldview. It adapted to reflect social issues, personal emotions, political dissent, and philosophical ideas, evolving into the many styles and genres we see today. In essence, what I say, poetry emerged from the human need to express, remember, and make meaning out the world with beauty, rhythm, and emotion.
Overall, all that we can say is it all started orally itself. By
Yes,
words
absolutely. Yeah.
of communication itself, poetry has started.
Yeah, oral
tradition. It has turned into scripture.
Yes, it has started in the oral art form.
Yeah, true. Agreed, sir.
So in early human societies, we listened from our grandparents and before old age people that in early human societies, stories, rituals, and history were memorized and passed down through generations using rhythm, repetition, and rhyme tools that made language easier to remember. That's why even today we could able to remember all our ancient patterns.
Scriptures.
We recognize it as a poetry of those days.
Poetry form. Yeah. Yes, sir. So if at all we go back to your earlier days, sir, like what were the first lines of poetry that inspired you to write poetry? And if you can recite some of your verses, that would be.
Yeah, this is something interesting question, Mr. Rao. As I told you, I was after at the age of my 9, I went to a village from Nellore to a very tiny village.
Small.
So that what happened there is uh, the birth of poetry is poetry itself. So this implies in every action carries a trace of poetry. You know, I believe that poetry has been inherently present in human creativity, as when I discussed since the dawn of evolution. You asked me how I was inspired, and my first lines I inspired and all. During my high school days, thanks to my Telugu teacher Rangareddy Garu, whom we have in those days, I came across Potana verses from Mahabharata. It was there in the 10th class syllabus. Yeah. So after reading that Potana verses, even without fully understanding them, I was drawn to their beauty.
Yeah.
Since those poetry is in the metrical form, I developed the habit of spontaneously composing verses in the same rhythm. Composing, I used to repeat, not composing. I used to recite their Potana Padyalu, Potana Padyalu, very spontaneously when I sleep. So like that, I was much that was the initial ignition for my tuning to the poetry.
That's nice.
And you know, and you asked what are the first few lines of my own poetry? Because it happened in the 10th class when I am reading the 10th standard only.
Okay.
My first poem was published in a very reputed weekly of Andhra Pradesh under the eminent editorship of Puranam Subramanya Sharma Garu. He was running a feature called New Voices in that magazine. So my first poem, of course, is a very tiny poem. It is only 4 lines. Title of that poem is Viluva. Viluva. Kavinainanu Kavita Rasi, Ravinainanu Rachana Chesi, Na Kavitaku Viluva, Kolanuloni Kaluva. So this was published in the Andhra Jyoti magazine in those days, which is a very credential publication for every poet of those days.
No, sir. The first line itself, you established yourself as a poet saying like Kavinaina and Kavitan Rasi. So there's no looking back at all there.
So that was the ignited, that was the poem ignited with the inspiration of Mahakavi Potana. And that just I wrote it and sent it to the magazine.
It just came like that. Yeah.
I wrote it only on postcard to the magazine. They just published.
Okay, that's nice. Nice too. Because these old lines now, it gives us a feel to own it. No, like even after decades, we still remember the first lines that we are read.
No, that is the first time my name in the very reputed magazine. So very thrilling moments. And that time my elder brother, who is already wrote several modern verses and both in English and Telugu. And my mother always used to say that my father used to write metrical verses, Chandos Padyalu in his diary. So I feel that I have this genetic hereditary also. So poetry keeps evolving with each era and from person to person, place to place.
That was what I was about to ask you, sir. Like,
okay.
So if, as you were saying, like poetry constantly changes from person to person, period to period,
place
to place. So what do you want to say about it, sir?
Yeah. That's truly I too wanted to tell you. After that, that was the first step of my journey. After that, I visited many places. I met so many people. So absolutely true. What you asked is poetry changes inevitably with time, region, and society. It even adopts the local dialects and cultural tones. We can see in many in Telangana, many in Andhra Pradesh. Though we all belongs to one particular state, but we have several dialects, local dialects, accents. So change is inevitable. One must have to embracing it is our responsibility. So that's how I understood that change is inevitable, and it all happens. Every society and every era, we will have we have the evidence of the literature represented the same society and same era in different tones and different modules in different dictions.
Correct. Absolutely right. Sir, going ahead, sir, if you can observe this, you might have observed, when you're in the most sleepless nights, you have loads of thoughts wandering your mind, torturing your thoughts. So, have you felt this?
Yes, this is a quite common to every man, particularly
Poets go through this.
Particularly poets, not only poets, for every creative person, I can say broadly. Every creative person, they will have this problem. And what my experience is, a poet turns to poetry on sleepless nights.
Yeah.
He transforms the stream of thoughts into poetry. And particularly, I believe that is his true poetic time and moment.
Right. Yeah, that's nice. Sir. That's nice. Because, for example, Van Gogh, the painter, he says night is more beautiful than the day.
Yeah.
So his way of saying is entirely different, but it has a poetic tone or has a poetic essence in that saying. So
yes,
I just
yes.
put correct.
That's how we utilize the sleepless nights, and whenever we get the our own time, we contribute it to our art form.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice way of putting it across. Sir, in these 5 decades of your poetic journey, you might have come across so many significant great talents whom you scouted and inspired also. So what drives you to keep this poetic spirit alive?
Yeah, this is what I say in Telugu. Sahityam na upiri, savasam na kunna siri. This is my slogan on all these 5 decades. Indeed, poetry has given me the opportunity to meet many brilliant and cultured individuals across the world. I consider that my greatest fortune is only that. From them, I learned values, discipline, and the human perspective. Because I met Nobel laureates, I met Jnanpith awardees, and also several Sahitya Academy awardees. Meeting them was a profound experience at every time. Traveling across
these 5 decades of your journey,
it has widened my mind and my perspective. Traveling across continents, witnessing diverse cultures and people helped refine my own self. I felt delighted to witness the highest ideals in those who won the highest laurels in the literature and poetry.
That's great, sir.
So this is one of my best part in my life is meeting them, particularly touching them, meeting them, and hearing them, reading them. All these made me to refine myself.
That's nice, sir. That's really great to know, sir. Really great. Sir, how do you weave in or how do you bring in these socio-cultural, economical, political issues into your poetry? And why is that it's necessary from your point of view?
Yeah, Mr. Rao, I strongly believe most of my poems are socially conscious.
Yeah.
My poetry is I can say my poetry is a literal reflection of contemporary society and the events unfolding around us. So critics have described me as a humanist poet also, but I consider myself as a socially conscious poet, basically. I even received a prestigious international humanist poetry award from Belgium.
Wow, that's great.
The award name is Bogdani Award for Poetry. Every scheduled time, every year in a scheduled time, they give to the world poets. So I received in the category of humanist poetry award. So that is one aspect. A poet must document the society of his time. That is what my feeling. that becomes why we should document, because that becomes tomorrow's history.
History. Yeah.
So addressing social and cultural issues is imperative. No poet is exempt from this responsibility, is my strong belief.
Okay. You mean to say like every poet is responsible to bring in the bringing the atmosphere of that period of time.
Yes, they should record the contemporary society.
Yeah.
Then only that is how our we are knowing several things from the travelers who recorded the things during the King's era by their mentionings of the poets, mentioning of writers, what they depicted, what they stated. So based on that only we could able to assess those days.
Agreed.
So that will become history once you record the contemporary issues. In the next generation, it will become history.
Will come to know. Yeah. So here I would like to say something, sir. Like even Sri Annamayacharya, he has written several verses about Tirupati Tirumala those days.
Yeah, that's what.
When we read or listened to those songs, like we can know what exactly the situation or else the atmosphere, the aura of that place at that point of time. So as you said, like it's very much necessary for us to journalize it.
Yes, yes.
To keep an eventful diary sort of thing through our poetry. Yes, sir, that's a beautiful way of putting it across. So, sir, do you think like anybody can write poetry?
Yes, Mr. Rao, many poets and writers have emerged due to genetics, heritage, study, and even by practice also.
Practice, yeah.
During adolescence, every human being heart experiences intense emotions. Some may put it on paper, some may keep it and remains it in their own heart.
Yeah.
That is different.
Okay.
But all those things are to be considered as poetry. Enough to inspire. All these things are enough to inspire poetry. Let me share an incident for your question, which happened in Nellore in the edge of 19th century and beginning of 20th century. A poet from Sudra community has written his first book and taken it to a Pandit and head of the department, we can say head of the department of Telugu and Sanskrit of those days, and he showed his first writings, first script writing, not even printed, script writing to that gentleman. You know what happened? That gentleman has received the script, thrown it out from the window of the classroom and told that, how can you write a poetry being a Sudra? Poetry comes by the way of your Janma Samskars. Puro Janma Sukrutam Undali Kavitum Rayalante. How can you write? Don't write, you go from here. But that man took it as a challenge. He studied a lot and he has written his first kavya, Rangarajamma. He went to Gudu at his native place. He completed, he abhyasa, he started, that's what I told him, by practice also. He studied all about poetry. Then he presented his first book, Rangajamma Kavyam.
So here, what I mean to say is,
let me share these, based on this incident, it serves as a strong argument for the idea that everyone can indeed write poetry. This is a case law, we can say in that. Today, if you after arrival of the social platforms, you can see everybody is writing their expressions, their voice, and publishing on their own walls. Whether they are not bothered about it should be printed in a magazine, it should be printed in a popular journal, nothing. They are expressing their views, they are writing on their walls, and they are creating, some people are creating quality literature, but some in the name of literature, they are producing their views on their walls. So this also gives us very strength to our argument that anyone can write poetry and anyone can create literature.
I want to say something here. In the sense like anybody can write in the sense like anybody can dance or anybody can paint, anybody can act. But thing is
Yes,
like what extent they can go.
that's
They
what
can
I'm
go
saying.
and grow. Until
There
unless
the
they don't cultivate a passion for themselves, until unless they don't have instinct with themselves, they can't reach to a certain heights. This is what I mean to say.
there comes the distinction. There comes the distinction. Once when they explore them, that they are having a potency in that particular art form,
Yeah.
whether it is poetry, art is dance, music, whatever
Any
it
art
is.
for that.
But they should go to they should go and select some guru, or at least not a direct guru I am selling. They should study in depth about the art form which they want to continue,
Excellent.
and they want to do some qualitative long journey. So when they learn the basics, and when they go on doing it consistently, the particular art form will definitely take you to the peaks. It will learn you all the all the methodology, how to make yourself perfect in that art form.
How to excel and evolve in that art.
Excel in the particular art form.
So what you mean to say is like your pursuance will take you to your penance.
Yes, absolutely. Consistently, without leaving it at any stage, you must travel.
Yeah, with the discipline and dedication.
Definitely, discipline, dedication. Yeah.
Cool, sir. Sir, here going ahead, like when it comes to the world poetry, I feel poetry is a universal language, a global voice. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, I do agree that it is a universal language, but I would say poetry is the language of the art.
Art, yeah.
For roots, life experiences, surroundings, and conditions become the poet's heartfelt cry, carrying vision and awakening the society. So this alone, this journey, when we forget our roots, in the recent one of my poem also, I wrote that those who forget their roots, they can't establish the bondage between
They
the
can't remember
relation.
the bond.
Yeah.
Those
So,
who forget the roots can't.
particularly these creative art forms, our roots and the ambience, how we were brought up, and the surrounding of the surrounding situations, all these matters are very important.
Yeah.
This we see a common taxi driver wrote poetry after his completion of duty in the late night, and preserved in his systems or whatever the medium available. Sometimes after passing them, after unfortunately, those who died at the early ages because of some ailments or accidents, later they are found that they are the worthy poets and writers, and their works been published.
Sir, I would like
So,
to say something here, sir. As you said about taxi drivers, like
yeah.
even if you go in Nellore or Bangalore, if you go with behind a taxi or auto, we'll find some quotes about life
Yeah,
quotes or love quotes.
fantastic, very inspiring quotes we see on the vehicles, backside of the vehicles,
The
and
vehicles. Yeah.
they are all the poetry of
They are
themselves.
poetry, like in the sense like they may not pursue it for a period of time, but like
Yeah,
it's instinctive feeling that they have written something at the back of their vehicles,
their
and that
thought
we connect to it.
expression of their thought is important.
Yeah.
So, like that, I'm telling you, a common man is also writing poetry. At the same time, you can see several civil officers, civil Indian ranking officers like IAS, IPS, IFS. We find poets from them also. So it has no barriers. So no barriers for poetry. That is how we can see the poetry is a universal language. At the same time, it's a language of the art.
Sir. Sir, going ahead, well then, sir, what do you suggest to the younger generation who are pursuing poetry? How do you feel that they have to pursue it, and what heights they can take it in terms of Sahitya Academy or else any other international awards if they want to achieve? in literature.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
poets.
this is to be a very discussable question, Mr. Rao. Today, I'm very happy to say that young poets are writing with a remarkable style,
Yeah. True.
craftsmanship, expression, and thematic diversity. I find lot of Telugu poets also doing their best quality of writings.
Yeah.
Whenever I read a good poem by them, any language, if I know them and if I have their mobile or phone contact number, I immediately reach out to congratulate them. So that's what I fix them. There's in some languages, in Indian regional languages, particularly from Malayalam and Bengal, the critics pick up those young creative persons and they encourage them, they guide them to go in the proper path.
As
So
you said, like Kerala and Bengal, sir, they are very much prominent in their language, in their vernacular languages, and they try to promote them, publish them very much. I do
that's
agree.
what they will push them into the right groove where they will flourish in later days.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the same thing I'm also now doing. Now there are more opportunities than ever for the regional poets to be translated and reach a global audience, reach to the global audience. By connecting with reputed international platforms, journals, and institutions, their talent can reach new heights. You told now how they should reach for Psyche Academy and how should they to the international galaxies. This is what they should do. They should consistently keep rapport with the concerned authorities, concerned dioceses, concerned magazines, concerned right to quality people, and make them know that about their writings. And they should take over in the global language like English. If it is in the India, they should take over in the Hindi. So when they take over with their translations, then all the honors will come looking for them, and all the fellowships, all the medals, all the all the essential requirements will search for them. This is what our young writers should know. They should do a very qualitative journey, and they should develop a very qualitative core group for themselves.
Yes.
But today, in their contemporary age itself, they can reach to the globe. Previously, Gurazada, after 150 years, he was translated and reached to the Western world. Similarly, many of our eminent poets, history, all those people, very lately, some people after demise, they are known to the world. But today, we have the advantage of this communication technology in a highway. If you write a best poem today, tomorrow you can appear in the global arenas. If it is translated properly.
With the translation and transcription.
Yeah, if you have a proper translation, immediately you can appear in the global arenas.
True. That's nice.
So these things they should learn. And
I came to know that, sir, in this context, I just came to know that like there are certain students who are pursuing PhD on your poetry. So what is the importance of being done, and how is that like you got it done, sir?
yeah, this is a this shows that how are our writings impact is there.
Yeah.
So several studies and analyses have been conducted on my poetry. On my poetry book called Poolamina Uru, which released in 2012. On that poetry, an MPhil degree was awarded in Madurai Kamaraj University.
Okay.
At the University of Madras, another MPhil degree was awarded for research on my poetry collection, Oka Parimala Bharita Kanti Deepam, released in 2017 in a SARC Literature Festival.
Okay.
And in Madras University, a PhD on my complete body of poetry, complete works of poetry published up to 2020, a research study and PhD is shortly going to be awarded to a research scholar from Chejarla Mandalam. And he has done a thorough, thorough research on my poetry works, all my poetry works, both long poems, everything. And also, University of two of my long poems and my memorial poems, Smriti Kavitalu, my Smriti Kavitalu, are been included in PhD research dissertations at Sri Venkateswara University. And so strangely, in Telugu University, my farmer themed haiku has been documented in a scholarly volume of haiku PhD study. This is how this shows the impact of our writings, how widely it has been enlightened the readers of the language. I wrote the long poem on flamingo, and after it was translated into multi languages, it also, both of my long poems, Nuvelli Poyaka and Flamingo, also mentioned in a PhD done by Sri Venkateswara University in the name of Dirgha Kavita Vikasam for a period of 10 years, I think 1 decade. That's how my works properly registered and researched and recorded in the notable universities.
That's great to know, sir, because that's very much important for the younger generations to know how to journalize their work, how to keep their work recorded, how to keep them alive. No?
Yes, yes.
That was a very good answer from you to guide the younger generations to a newer path.
Okay, yes. That's how they should travel
in their poetic journey or literary journey, or for else any matter, for else any of their achievements.
At this juncture, I like to thank the professors who have guided the research scholars to take up my poetry for their dissertation and research.
True, sir. That's really wonderful. So on the baseline, what's your ideology and philosophy towards poetry?
Oh, ideology is, I told you, no, poetry is a life and breath for me. So from the very tender age of my life, so I have a lot of desires, and I set some goals when my first poem is published at the age of high school study. If I go on writing poetry, my poetry should be taken to the global levels. My poetry should publish in the global magazines. So that desire, that strong desire, one can say that Tivra Sankalpa has made my paths very easy. So I traveled only on the guidelines to reach the goals I set for myself. That was the really that was the essence of my poetry. And even when I am, because of this conscious, whenever I am writing my poetry, I always selected and elected the content which is fit for universal readers.
Which has a universal appeal,
universal appeal and global outlook. So these contents only innovatively I selected and I represented in the global diocese. So I hope I achieved to some extent.
Yeah, that's true, sir. Like you are somewhere like you have achieved what, because coming from vernacular language, from a local language, and reaching to that heights, it's not a small thing. It's not a mean thing. I really appreciate you on that. So coming here, like you said, like Kavitvam ante Kaviloni Sangarshana. So, So how do you define it, sir? How do you define poetry in those terms?
Yeah, one small thing also I just want to add, Mr. Rao here. As you wrote, as I told now, I always select for innovative content and different poetry I used to represent and write. In 2006, I wrote the long poem called Flamingo. And
Yeah.
after it was translated into multiple languages in India and abroad, I began organizing a unique poetry festival under the name Flamingo Bird, which is very unique in the world. Nobody has done a poetry festival on a bird,
On
which
birds.
I completely organized it for the last decade, and now also we are going to continue it. I conducted in various educational institutions in this poetry Flamingo Festival, and it has gained a recognition by the Penn International Organization also as a rare poetry festival globally, and will continue to. I try to continue to go. In addition to this, I also organized state level poets meets on the coastal shores in the district, Kadali Tiramlo Kavisammelanam, a national level environmental poetry festival at Bhairava Kona, represented by the 12 states of Indian government, a South India Poetry Festival on the theme of Swachh Bharat in Wakadu Engineering College, and an international Kafla Literature Festival in Nellore Engineering College. These events foster a cultural bond among the poets because my desire is I want to bring many poets from many soils to the land where a legendary poet Mahakavi Tikkana wandered in the 13th century. So my ambition was fulfilled to a certain extent, and I felt really happy to
You feel happy and honored
be honored all
in
the
these
poets.
5 decades of your poetic journey.
Yeah.
True, sir. So on that note, sir,
Yeah, you as you told, the poetry is the signature upon time. You asked me
yeah,
what it no what you కవిత్వం అంటే నిత్య సంఘర్షణ.
yeah.
So yeah, it is there. It is every poet has always will have this conflict in their
So
mind.
let me quote these words to the viewers, sir. Here, Dr. Perugu Ramakrishna sir says this like poetry is the substance that causes the conflict, constant conflict in the poet. So that's a great wording for anybody to listen and to make a note of it. Like poetry is a substance that causes constant conflict in the poet.
Yes.
That's a
It's
beautiful quote, sir. That's a beautiful quote to note it.
That's what I always say. So when somebody asks us, what is your message to the youngsters or to the readers, I always concludes that my poetry and my writings themselves carry my message to readers.
Yeah, that's
My
nice.
poetry captures contemporary issues. It becomes the history of tomorrow. That's what any poet or any creative person can do it. Na? Beyond that, what more we have contribute?
What can beyond? Sir, coming to the final fag end of the session, like you said, like kavitum, kavitum na santakam something, sir.
Yeah.
My poetry is my signature upon time.
Yeah.
Kalam mida kavitum
Santakam na kavitvam. Yeah.
kalam kavitum na kalam mida na santakam.
Yeah.
This is the proper line, sir. So
Yeah.
just like my poetry is my signature upon time. So
Yes.
So will that be your epitaph, sir?
No, Mr. Rao. That's not mean to be an epitaph.
Okay.
The poetry I wrote throughout my lifetime,
Okay.
you observe for any poet, not only for me,
Okay.
the poetry wrote throughout their lifetime carries a unified thread.
Yeah.
It should be seen as a poetic signature upon the times
Okay.
I lived or they lived, though, through. A source of inspiration, a message to the future, an imprint uniquely mine is called the signature of my poetry. I am the signature. My poetry is my signature upon time means it is a source of inspiration, a message totally during his total lifetime. his poetry carries a unified thread. That thread is the imprint uniquely belongs to the poet.
As you were using the word imprint, sir, I got connected to my verse saying like, I wrote a verse line saying like,
Okay.
I leave the imprints of my poetry on sands of time. That was some way back I written. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah. True. It's true.
so
It's perfect.
it just happened that way. So on this note, like, how do you feel, sir, being on this show?
Very good, Mr. Rao. You have rightly carried my feelings through your proper questions, and I hope I have also properly rendered my
Yeah,
feelings.
you gave a
My
proper, it's not proper like important answers sort of thing, where it like it gave a path to the new generations how to
yeah,
take
yeah, yeah.
next level. You know,
And also, I wish you must continue these type of many more shows, bringing very qualitative poets from the land of India and from abroad. And I always very happy to listen their interviews more than their poetry.
Yeah.
I like to listen them. No, behind the poetry there will be a lot of things. So
Yeah.
so all the time I'm very happy to. So that speaks, and that gives us, and we can forecast about his capacity of potency from the particular person, how he wrote, how he depicted his literature. So with the, I like to close this session, Mr. Rao, if you permit. I'll just read a poem which
Please
I
keep
wrote.
it short and sweet, sir.
Very easy. No, some 4-5 lines.
Carry on.
No, it is on the. This is the situation going in the country also. Now we are very honorably saluting to every of our soldiers, country with a lot of patriotism. This poem I wrote in Telugu at the time of completion of our national anthem, Jana Gana Mana.
Okay.
And it was published in several anthologies in the world, as well as in the Telugu language, different collections brought by different people, different organizations. The title of the poem is That Song. On ocean blues, straining the heart muscles, written was that song, Jana Gana Mana. The threads of falling corpses, then synchronized with the tunes of accordion, alien harp, played by the cruel lord of death, written was that song, Jana Gana Mana. Like this it goes. It is my all-time favorite. Like that, I have several unique and dedicatedly composed verses in my anthologies published. One is Rosette and other poems. Other is Flamingo and other poems. And I also edited one international environmental poetry collection called Parched Earth. Also, I edited one SAARC countries literature anthology called The Poetry of South Asia, wherein I included our present Honorable Prime Minister's poem at the first page of anthology. So these are some valuable things I contributed to the world of literature. Thank you to be with you. This
it was an honor to know you, sir. It was an honor and a privilege to know you, because your experience and your expertise in this poetic journey, as you mentioned, like 50 years of a poetic journey.
Yeah, that is a landmark.
Not a small thing, and it's an achievement by itself. So it was an honor and privilege to have you on our show, sir. Thank you, sir.
I thank my readers, my publishers, my well-wishers, my philosophers, my friends, my family members, everyone who are the main potency to travel for 5 decades in the poetry field. Thank you, you, and thanks to Mr. Prasanna Kumar, the founder of this valuable group, the Fertile Brains. This should live on, Fertile Brains.
Shajan will keep on striving, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks for your
good night.
Good night, sir.